Net users ignore the demon behind the curtain. On the other hand, netrunners are the demon behind the curtain. Rache Bartmoss is the most notorious netrunner and cybercriminal in the history of Night City. His Datakrash R.A.B.I.D.S virus led to the collapse of the first net and forever changed the virtual landscape in the Cyberpunk universe. In this video, we're going to explore the full story of Rache Bartmoss, from his earliest days to the fall of the first net, and to the moment V finds his body in a fridge out in the Badlands. Keep watching to see it all. This video is sponsored by Mech Arena. Dishing out big damage with big weapons is one of my favorite parts of playing video games, so taking the field with a gigantic badass robot strapped up with nade launchers was immediately appealing to me. Mech Arena is a free-to-play, fast-paced sci-fi shooter where you can live the dream of being a legendary robot pilot in high-intensity team PvP battles. The game is available on Android, iOS, and PC. What I really like about Mech Arena are the customization and build options for your mechs. There are dozens of different weapons and paint jobs to fine-tune your robot into a pristine battle machine. So let's talk about two of my favorite mechs that I've been playing with recently. The Guardian is for the player who believes the best defense is a good offense. This bad boy is all about eliminating enemy defenses and eviscerating mechs with heavy weapons. The Guardian's system crash ability is OP. With the click of a button, you can reset enemy cooldowns, remove all active abilities, and force reload all their weapons, making them a sitting duck for you to destroy. The Panther is one of the best mechs for controlling the battlefield. Its stasis ability makes it invulnerable to damage, plus its high energy capacity means it can equip the heaviest weapons in the game, like the railgun and long-arm snipers. Just don't get caught out in the open without your shields. Mech Arena is constantly being updated with new game modes, events, and weapons, like the Nade Launcher 12. The brand new free-for-all mode allows you to compete in Battle Royale-style matches, take out the most mechs to earn the title of Kill Leader, and earn the best rewards to upgrade your robots and weapons. And the best part of all, it's completely free to play. So download Mech Arena right now using my link in the description or scanning the QR code. You'll get $15 worth of bonuses to get you started. We're talking 1 amateur crate, 300 A-coins, and 1 pulse cannon 4. So what are you waiting for? Use my link in the description to download Mech Arena right now. Big shout out to Mech Arena for sponsoring this video. Rache Bartmoss was a child prodigy netrunner, diving into the net for the first time at the age of 4 years old. Unaware of the risks posed by Netwatch and other runners, Rache initially used his real name as his online persona. But luckily, by the time he realized this mistake, he was already skilled enough to neutralize any threats to his person. As a teenager, Rache offered his netrunning services to a variety of corporations, but these jobs were always short-lived. Bartmoss would inevitably end up betraying the company in one way or another, fleeing the job and cleaning his record before moving on to another corporation. This anti-corpo streak was instilled from an early age in his politics and actions. Unsurprisingly, this made Rache a target for the corporations and led to the termination of his state identification number, or SIN, when he was just 17 years old. The person who wiped his number was actually Spider Murphy's father, and this incident put Spider and Rache in touch for the first time, starting a lifelong partnership in net crime and some other things as well. Rache was able to maintain a life on the edge because his netrunning skills also made him financially independent. During one of his last stints in the corpo world, working for a company called CCI, he wrote a series of demon software programs. And after CCI fired him for dropping a political movie into the company database, Rache fried their internal computer systems, causing the company to go belly up, before snatching the demon software program and selling it off to other software firms. This move set Rache up for life. For the next decade, Rache was on top of the world, or rather on top of the net. But to him, those things were one and the same. He ran with other top-tier edge runners like Spider Murphy, Dog, Edgar, and Alt Cunningham. And since Rache didn't need any more money, he and his crew could stick it to the corpo elite just for fun and for their ideals. Bartmoss romantically describes the ideals of his netrunning companions in Brainwave Blowout. "We used to run the net for a reason. Freedom. We ran it because we could. and we were living legends, free-flying, unchained gods of electronic liberty. We lynched NetWatch hacks because we could. We burned the castles. We didn't commandeer them for ourselves. We pushed the envelope for the sheer hysteria of doing what everyone else thought was impossible. And maybe they were right, and we'd lose our cortex. But we wouldn't have to live in that dank dungeon of self-preservation where you sit for eternity trying to forget that you never really tried. Bartmoss would have to go to extreme lengths to live this lifestyle, though, since corporations and NetWatch had all placed hefty bounties on his head. He executed an elaborate plan to take over an entire apartment complex and replace all the residents with people he could subtly control by hacking their neural interfaces. Meanwhile, his physical body spent most of its time stored in a fridge equipped with life support tech. These security measures protected Bartmoss both on the net and IRL. One of Rache's mottos, which he often shared with Spider Murphy, was, "The fridge is a good place to hide." And he did mean that literally, since he often ran on the net while his physical body was stored in a refrigerator. If you're a fan of Arrested Development, it reminds me of "There's always money in the banana stand." But one day in 2020, Rache's freewheeling net antics caught up with him. An unknown assailant launched an attack on Rache, causing his heart to stop. His physical body died, but he continued to live on in the net. He spent the next 10 months attempting to get in touch with Spider Murphy, eventually reaching her with the nonchalant "thought you might be interested" to inform her that he had died IRL. The two would continue to collaborate and communicate via the net, helping to co-write Rache Bartmoss's Guide to the Net. In 2021, Militech would contact Bartmoss to help launch net attacks against Arasaka in the Fourth Corporate War. At the convincing of Alt Cunningham's digital ghost, Rache would agree to help Militech and eventually locate Arasaka's master copy of the Soul Killer program. Unfortunately, Rache's net signal would get tagged in 2022, which led to a raid on his Conapt building. Knowing that he was about to die in the net this time, he contacted Spider Murphy and asked her out on a date. Or rather, he invited her to a private chat room and confessed his love for her, asking her to watch a VR flick with him. At the end of the date, Rache released his Datakrash R.A.B.I.D.S virus into the net, which led to his death, as well as the complete collapse of the first net. R.A.B.I.D.S is an acronym for the virus which Bartmoss created and deployed to cause the data crash. It stands for Roving Autonomous Bartmoss Interface Drones. Within a matter of months, R.A.B.I.D.S had infected nearly 80% of the entire net infrastructure, leading to massive crashes in the stock market, data breaches, and other generalized chaos. The net became unusable for the vast majority of people and corporations. Probably the worst effect was the unshackling of a number of AIs, which would go rogue and inevitably need to be cordoned off beyond the NetWatch constructed black wall in cyberspace. Bartmoss accompanied the release of his R.A.B.I.D.S virus with a manifesto stating, "The first net was supposed to save us. It would serve as a platform for those without a voice. It would offer unlimited knowledge to those who hungered for it. It would bring a fractured humanity closer together than ever before in our history. But these hopes were hollow. False. But now, even the net itself cannot be saved. It was molded by the corpse, with sharp edges, spikes, and traps at every corner. Think of the net as a stream of water that flows gently into our minds, before freezing, swelling, and destroying us from the inside out. But remember this about ice. As hard as it may be, it's surprisingly brittle. One well-placed strike and it shatters into a million tiny pieces. Watch out today and you'll see just what I mean. The destruction of the first net did strike a blow at the corporations and the established order, but it only created space for corpos to consolidate their powers further on the next version of the net. The edge runner Bugbear described the impact of data crash in a data shard entitled Blaming Bartmoss. When I imagine what the net was like before Bartmoss, I see thousands of potential threats and thousands of opportunities. Bartmoss saw the net as a grenade waiting for the pin to get pulled, and that's exactly what he did. Before Bartmoss, the net was an untamed jungle. If you could navigate it, you had a chance to survive. You were free. After Bartmoss, the net's like an airport security check. Every step you take, Netwatch is checking your papers and performing a thorough cavity search. Oh, but all for your own good, of course. In 2077, Bartmoss is mostly remembered for destroying the first net, a legend to some, a villain to others, and a cold corpse in a fridge to the player character V. If you venture outside Night City to the spot where Dex and Takamura dragged you at the end of Act 1, you'll find Rache Bartmoss's body inside the fridge that once stood in his apartment compound. V will pry a cyber deck from the fridge, which you can bring to the runner Nyx at the afterlife. And for now, that's where the story of Rache Bartmoss ends. I'm curious to see if any additional lore or details will be forthcoming in the Phantom Liberty DLC. It seems unlikely given that old Rache is long dead and won't be able to play a role in the current story. But perhaps we may see the return of Spider Murphy or Morgan Blackhand. Only time will tell. So there you have it, the full story of Rache Bartmoss, legendary netrunner and destructor of the first net. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe to Big Dan Gaming for more Cyberpunk and RPG videos. Big shout out to all the channel members for supporting my content. Until next time, this has been Big Dan. I should go.